Okay,
you know why? You know why people are not coming on? It could be because it's Father's Day.
Oh, yes. You're right. Could be. So
they're all out drinking glasses of Galatian juice, and then they fall under the table.
actually, my dad messaged me. He said, "Why don't you come over? We got some bread and some kind of thing someone gave him. Like I don't know if they use margarine or butter and this and that." So I'm like, and then I heard, "Oh, we have Istagosthi tonight, so you can't miss that."
Yeah. It's your father's. Did you? What is your father? Well, any Father's Day? Do you celebrate Father's Day?
Well, today my father came. Yeah, my father came to my house and I gave him some fruits. And I said, "Happy Father's Day."
Oh, that's nice.
So your father lives in Sacramento?
Yes, he's in Sacramento, about 10 miles away. 10 miles, 10 minutes away. Sorry. 10 minutes
Depends
away.
how fast you go.
Yeah, it depends how fast you go.
Go 120 miles an hour, you'd be 5 minutes away.
Yeah. So let's get on the topic. So yesterday I was discussing with Narayan Prabhu last night that this living guru issue, that one needs a living guru, and then one needs to take guidance from someone. So why are people so much confused that you need some person to guide you and to mold you and to give you instructions, which that is given by Srila Prabhupada in his books, in his lectures? Everything is there. I mean, we're at a very important time, period where the Acharya has just came. How long has Srila Prabhupada? 1977 he left, right? So how long has that been? It hasn't been so long, right? 30 years? No,
40, 50 years.
40 something, 50 years. So
I would think so.
Yeah, approximately 50 years. So why people
77
2007.
to 77 to 2007 is I don't know what I'm doing.
44 years. It has been only 44 years.
Okay.
Not even 50 years. So why are people so much confused that you need a living guru? You need someone as a guidance.
Because
all that is available.
That's what they were told.
So you can
that's
say
that's why they poisoned Prabhupada, was so that they could say that. Yeah, you need a living guru. First, you have to kill your guru, then I will become your living guru. No, they just wanted to be adored the way Prabhupada was adored.
Prabhupada was adored?
Adored means people are adoration. Adored means adoration of Prabhupada. Prabhupada would speak, everyone would fall in love with every minute he spoke, and everything he did, the way he moved, and the way he sat, the way he talked.
Well, adored, it's inspiring great affection. I mean, if they had great affection for him, then, they would have followed his instructions. So did they really adore him?
They adored him sort of like you might adore a movie star or an actress or a model.
Oh, in that context. Okay.
I just adore Lady Gaga, I mean, there's no reason to. Or Britney Spears, I adore Britney Spears. Why? I mean, all she's doing is a material activity, right?
Yes. So, like in the ISKCON, I think about 80% of the population, they are confused about the guru issue, that they need a living guru. They have no idea what is the qualifications of the guru. Nor do they read, obviously.
The sober question is, if you need, what is a living guru going to give you that Prabhupada's books do not give you.
Yes. What is
I
living
mean-
guru gonna give you that Prabhupada
What?
books are not giving, right?
Yeah. So if you study Prabhupada's books, isn't that better than a living guru? Because unless the living guru is on the Uttama Adhikari platform, all he will do is do what you're doing, studying Prabhupada's books and talking about Prabhupada's books. So you can do that without the guru. You don't need a guru to do that. You can go to class and hear what people say. But basically, Prabhupada says in his books exactly what he wants to say. You follow that and everything is fine.
It's very simple, at least for me to understand, because I was confused at one time for several years that at least not so much that you need a living guru, but I found it rather disturbing that these people are pushing this, that you need a spiritual master to surrender to, and then you must serve him. You mean
Yeah.
they were saying
I think
these?
it's all based on Christianity. Even Christianity has that view, but the Jews don't take that view. The Jewish people don't say you need a living rabbi.
Oh,
You know?
they don't say that. Achha.
No. And the Muslims sort of like try to say things like that, but only the Christians say you need Jesus. Oh, who came in?
Mohit Prabhu is in the house.
Hare
Mohit?
Krishna.
Yes,
Haribol,
Mohit.
Mohitji. How are
Haribol.
you? How are you?
Doing great, Prabhu. How about you?
Oh, I am doing all right, considering I'm the lowest of all the low, and I have no spiritual attributes, and I have no Krishna consciousness, and all I have is your association to make it spiritual advancement. That's where I'm at.
So anyone, so anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, if you'd like to kindly join, please send me a message and I'll get you in. Today we're discussing the requirements of the Uttam Adhikari or the Diksha Guru, who you should accept as a spiritual master, and what is his qualifications, and what ISKCON has propagated since
Well,
19
it's
after the
confusing if you
disappearance.
start from the ground and look up, but if you start from Krishna Loka and look down, it's extremely simple. The spiritual master is the direct kinetic representative of Krishna. And unless you are in your rasa with Krishna, what of value do you have to say to someone that is initiated? The whole point of initiation is to get access to Krishna through you, because you can see Krishna face to face if you're a guru. The bona fide spiritual master sees Krishna everywhere, literally.
Right.
In fact, I was in New Vrindavan. Do you know those pictures in New Vrindavan where Prabhupada is sitting on a crude sort of little table with sticks, like firewood sticks for legs? He's sitting on a hillside, and Petit Vidran and others like that are there.
Yes. Yes.
You've seen that? He's sort of looking across. Well, I made that
Yeah.
little table. I built a little table. But he would sit there, and we were sitting there, and it's very enchanting to be in West Virginia all alone with a pure devotee. And there you are. I mean, it's sort of like we're in his universe. And then somebody said something about, oh, you can see Krishna. You can actually see Krishna. He said to Prabhupada. Prabhupada looked around in this magical moment of astonishment and said, he's everywhere. You can't see him? You know, people say, no, am I supposed to? He said, "You see in the trees over there?" Prabhupada glanced over and said, "Of course, you see the trees. Yes, why not?" You know, and they just couldn't grasp that Prabhupada was in a direct one-on-one relationship with Krishna. Everybody wants to do something to really dishonest, you know, they want to get a good teacher in college and get a promotion and then get a good job afterwards or something of that sort. But where is the question of wanting to become delivered from repeated birth and death? Oh, they like to do that as long as they don't have to do it. You just wait till you die and then you automatically, Krishna saves you. But that's all it boils down to. It's Christianity warmed over. That whole thing is based on Christians becoming devotees. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to recognize that they come with beliefs already. I was very lucky. I was raised to be an atheist. So when I accepted Krishna, I accepted Krishna without any presuppositions of the existence of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's perhaps one of my greatest advantages, you know. I didn't know. So when I was convinced, it was simple, direct. Where's the influences from catechism and Judaism or Islam or any other belief? I didn't believe in God. In fact, I believed that God, such as people believe in, like a person God, didn't exist. But when I became convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then I had an empty space into which to bring that understanding, not one crowded with childhood teachings and church teachings or whatever sort of teachings. But when the GBC ceased to be elected, which means right away, all the other religions, Buddhists, Muslims, Jews, stopped joining the movement around 1970. And there were already quite a few at the time, but only Catholics were joining, because the GBC was just 100% Catholic Church from their point of view. Cardinals. I keep saying that over and over again, but people don't understand it, or because they were Catholics before they became devotees, they don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, that's the difficulty, huh? Have you ever talked to any of these people? Be like, hey, you guys have a model of the Catholic Church, and Prabhupada's model is not of the Catholic Church, of having popes and cardinals and
I
control
talk blue in the face.
Oh.
Of course, and they listen to me very carefully, but they don't give up their belief in the Catholic style, because it was ingrained into them. You know what the Jesuits said? They said, give me a child from birth until 7 years, and after that, he will be 100% Catholic. He will not change. They banked on that. They knew that if you take a child and indoctrinate him so that his whole early growing up experience is within a very set belief, that he'll stay there. And you'll see that after the British destroyed the Vedic culture, the Hindus are doing the same thing. No matter what you tell them, they still have what they believe from their grandmother told them, you know?
Right.
The grandmother Sampradaya. They can't help themselves because that's what they were taught as children. And why are they attracted to Krishna consciousness? Because it seems like a better quality of Hinduism than that they were presented with. But that doesn't mean they want to advance their Hinduism. They don't want to give it up and exchange it for Vaishnavism. They will say, okay, I'll keep whatever I had learning and I'll add Prabhupada's philosophy to it. Then you become an ordinary human being. A Kinestadakari forever, What else can be done? It's rare men who will make a break with his childhood religion.
Jai. We have a, where is that? Chidananda was coming in. I let him in, but I guess he didn't come in yet. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, he's not in yet. Once he's in, I'll make the announcement.
And what about Shreya? She's not in?
Not yet. Maybe she'll join later.
Yeah, well, she probably has things to do.
Okay. So Mohit Prabhu, we're discussing about Diksha Guru. So if you have any questions in that regard, you can ask.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
So yesterday I had a doubt which couldn't be cleared because I got busy somewhere. That is like whenever we are in touch with Krishna consciousness, right? So we need a physical guru or maybe someone to scold us. And we are human beings are made like this that they want a belongingness to talk to someone. So when we start our journey from the temple, so we start reading books and we ask doubts and then we get close to the devotee and then we get to know these all things are happening. Right. But we need someone to slap us or need someone to back off us or need someone to talk to regarding. In this, don't you think we fall in a trap of being, just ego boosting your guru or your whosoever devotee you're in touch with? So this is where the main point starts. Where should I go to take knowledge? If I'm sometimes in doubts or anything, I need to have iṣṭa-goṣṭhī, right? I mean,
Oh, you
online
got Istagosthi is exactly where you go if you have doubts. That's what Istagosthi is for. Ramachandra, did you turn off my video for some reason?
Ramachandra, you got my question?
My video is off.
Hare Krishna.
Ramachandra.
Ramachandra,
Huh.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, well, there we are.
So you got my point. What I'm trying to tell you that when we start our journey in Krishna consciousness, so we just ask our doubts from the temple devotee we are in touch with. Yeah, because he is the only main contact for Krishna consciousness, right? And don't you think we then fall in the trap of ego boosting his views on Krishna consciousness, and then we fall in trap? But we need to talk to him because we are humans are also made to talk to people, and they need someone to talk to, right?
Well,
Until what extent? Yeah.
what do they want to talk about?
Talk about spiritual progress, right? We have issues, we have doubts, right? We have our own doubts when we read.
Well, the thing is, when I first moved into a temple, we did not talk any social talk whatsoever. We in the temple room, in the temple building, if we wanted to talk about anything that wasn't directly Krishna Katha, we stepped out into the street to talk. You see, so that it wasn't conversational, it wasn't casual, it wasn't social. It was, you have your duty and you see somebody in the temple, you say that is Prabhu. So you offer your obeisances to whoever it is. You may have been there for 2 years and he may have been there for 2 days, but you offer your obeisances to him because you say Prabhu means master. So that's the philosophy practically undertaken. That's the practical philosophy, is that you accept the absolute nature of the instruction of the spiritual master. And if he says bow down to the godbrother, then you bow down to the godbrother. There's nothing to talk about. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, yeah. But humans are wired, right? We are humans are animals, and we just need to talk to people, get together, right? So if we don't go to a temple. Yeah.
Well, if you read from the text of the Bhagavad Gita and you read the purport, you have everything you need to talk about without chatting. You speak from the Gita, you speak from the purport. And somebody asks you a question, you look at the verse, you look at the purport, that's your reference point. There's no need for anything else. I mean, why do we need to converse about anything just to get to know each other? That can be done without being a devotee at all. You can go to a bar or a restaurant and do like that. That's no problem. People do it all the time. Social life. But we don't need that. What we are looking for is direct contact with Krishna via the spiritual master. And if the spiritual master is not a pure devotee, then we don't get very much in the way of spiritual association that way, because it's all social conversation. That's the problem I was having with Mohit.
Mohit is here.
You're Mohit. I was having problems with I'm sorry. What was his name? I forgot already. The guy.
Bhanu.
No, not Bhanu. Bhanu is an amazing guy. Vashish, not Mohit, Vashish. With Vashish, you couldn't have a philosophical conversation with him. He just wasn't available for that. He liked to talk about things, but he didn't like to discuss the subject matter itself. He liked to go and talk around, being more sociable talk, but not direct kata. So that's not what life is for. Life is to discuss Krishna's pastimes through the access point of the spiritual master, who is on the same level as Krishna. He is coming from Krishna Loka. If we want that, then we have it in the form of Srila Prabhupada. If we don't want it, then we can just go on and on and on, talking about things, and just going in circles and not going anywhere, not developing anything real. Does that make
Elizabeth?
sense?
Yeah. Elizabeth Mataji want to say something, I guess. She is trying to say something.
Oh, no, I'm just listening.
Okay. Ramachandra Prabhu, please go ahead. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Is Ramachandra there?
I'm here, yes.
How come my video was turned off?
You were shaking the camera so much. People were complaining.
Were they really?
Huh?
Actually complaining?
Yeah.
Well, okay, then leave it off, I guess.
Yeah, you can leave it off. I think you're holding it and speaking, and then, like when you're speaking, you're like shaking it.
A gesture, too many gestures.
Yes.
I normally have that in the
Yes, you have it on the table.
Well, I can put it on the table and see what happens.
Yeah, you can try that and turn on a video, yes.
Ramachandra?
Yes.
Don't you remember when we start our journey in this process, right?
Yes.
We sometimes blend into someone's what do we call it? Egoistic knowledge of a devotee, right?
You blend?
And
What do you
into
mean
the
blend?
egoistic blend means you
You
just need
take
to
up
ask
you take up
just
their
their
belief
their
system?
knowledge.
You take up
Yeah,
their
yeah,
belief system? Right.
yeah, exactly. And then when you read the Prabhupada books, the real purpose, and then you get to know that there's something wrong going on. But you can't disrespect the devotee, right? So
There's
that
no
is
need
it.
for
That
disrespecting. It's how you talk. We that's why Istagosthi is there. Yeah, a few days ago, I was talking to a devotee. He joined in 1968, no, 1969, and
yeah,
then he met with Srila Prabhupada. His parents met with Srila Prabhupada. His parents are Srila Prabhupada disciples, and then he took, he met Prabhupada personally, and then he took Puri Maharaj as his guru. Then after that, he took Narayan Maharaj as his guru. I'm like, you met Srila Prabhupada. Why did you take two more gurus? I said, who is your guru? Is it Srila Prabhupada? Is it Puri Maharaj or is it Narayan Maharaj?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I want to listen to this. Yeah,
And
What
what was
was
then
the
I
his
was,
answer?
what was his answer?
so
I
he
want to know the answer. Yeah.
he said Narayan Maharaj, you know.
Very well. Acha. Okay.
So
Because then people go there, they like to sit in front of somebody who entertains them. I mean, why do people go to nightclubs? Some comedian comes out and entertains them. A musician comes out, entertains them, right?
So this is where the problem lies, Prabhu. If someone is not reading, he's not more into reading. He's into connections, right? Making more and more
Yeah,
spiritual connections to his friends.
he wants to be entertained.
Uh, yeah, maybe bluntly you can say that he wants to be entertained, but sometimes he's in run for spiritual knowledge. And if he's in touch with some devotee, he gets involved with him, and then whatever knowledge or answers or doubts he's been clarifying, he gets in touch with him, and then there's like this going on every day then, right? Because he becomes close to that devotee, right? So if Krishna has chosen that devotee for you, so
What are we talking about? He becomes close to that. Who's the devotee that he becomes close to?
yes, proof. For example, I'm talking to you, right? I'm talking to you right now.
Yes.
I have certain doubts, right? So if I've come to
Well, what
you, I
are they?
become close to you because
That's why
I'm
we're
talking to
here.
you.
We're supposed
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
discussing these doubts, not talking about having doubts.
yeah,
Yeah.
why do you have a doubt?
Yeah, or why don't we discuss what is your doubt? What is your doubt? Let's discuss it.
Doubt process is like when you get in touch with some devotee, right? What we are talking about here is like ISKCON devotees are deviating people, right? If I wouldn't be here right now, I wouldn't be somewhere else talking to some devotee because I need spiritual knowledge. And when I get in touch with them, I get close to them, and then I blend into the knowledge he's being pouring to me. Prabhupada
That's
books
not how you
are
do
there.
it.
Yeah.
That's not described that way in Shastra, right?
What is? Can you just explain it
It
once?
says you approach the spiritual master, surrender to the spiritual master, and then because the spiritual master can deliver you because he knows the truth. Now, at what point do you get to know him, or does it become sociable and like family? No, never. That cannot be there. One cannot have a friendly relationship with the spiritual master. That Prabhupada made very clear. The spiritual master is master. Guess where Prabhupada describes you cannot be friends with your spiritual master. Very, very key teaching. You cannot be friends with your spiritual master. Where is that written? Which Shastra? You cannot be friends with a spiritual master.
When you say one cannot be friends with a spiritual master, going in the memory series of Srila Prabhupada, it seems like Srila Prabhupada had some specific relationship with like Shrutakirti. He was a personal servant of Srila Prabhupada, and I guess some people did have friendly relationships with Srila Prabhupada, no?
Oh no, I'm not saying you have to be hostile, but the thing is, like Srila Kirti was a servant.
Yes.
Srila Kirti was a servant. He wrote several books about his memories of serving Srila Prabhupada. When I say you're not friends with the spiritual master, means Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, now is the time for friendly talks to cease.
Friendly talks to cease.
We know that Arjuna is friends with Krishna.
Please repeat this again, Prabhu. This is a bit confusing.
He goes from planet to planet, from universe to universe with Krishna as his friend. That's the Rasa's friend. But when Arjuna needed guidance, Krishna said specifically, now is the time for friendly talks to cease.
Let's keep this straightforward, Prabhu. First, Prabhu said that in Vedas it's written that you can't make any spiritual master can't be your friend at all. He needs to be a guiding person, right? You can't make him a guru. Then we have certain.
You approach he doesn't guide you. You go to him for guidance.
That God.
You don't go to the guru and hope that he guides you. You go to the guru to surrender.
Yes. But there's
after you surrender, he will give you instructions what to do. But it's not a friendly conversation. It is master and disciple conversation. There's no friendly part to it. If you come to the spirit, now you might say, well, Srila Kirti, well, he was as a servant. He wasn't acting like a disciple. He wasn't acting like surrendered to Prabhupada. He acted like he was bringing Prabhupada things to eat, cleaning Prabhupada, giving him a massage. These are all sociable things that you can do, but it has nothing to do with being a disciple. Disciple has to, and you'll find out that Srila Kirti, right after years of serving Prabhupada directly and writing books about it, he left his wife for another woman, and he went into a whole complicated situation that had nothing to do with having surrendered to Prabhupada.
Okay.
So, I mean, I like Srila Kirti, but he went and took somebody else's wife. A person that I know who's actually an in-law to my own family, he went to that woman and married her or got together with her as a mistress or wife or something. And she already had a person who'd been with her for 25 years. So how is that following the spiritual master?
Right.
For example, Prabhupada's popular or Prabhupada's favorite devotee is
He got the pleasure of like a intimate interactions with Prabhupada, but it didn't help him very much in terms of making spiritual advancement.
Garg Muni was also
there was another devotee, personal servant of Prabhupada named Nanda Kumar, who now lives in the north of Hawaii, apparently. I was just told, Trishad just told me today. And Nanda Kumar was serving Prabhupada. Then he would climb out through the window in Los Angeles, which is not all that easy to do because Prabhupada's on the second floor, went off to his girlfriend, would have sex all night, and then he'd come back in the morning and he'd be ready to serve Prabhupada again. So, I mean, you see, having that sort of intimate association with Prabhupada can be actually, you could say, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
because,
now
you know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt.
Okay, Mohit Prabhu, go ahead. You want to ask something?
Last question, because many devotees are there, they want to ask. Prabhupada was very close to Garg Muni, right? He used to write letters to Garg Muni a lot, right? So, Prabhu, that relationship between a guru and I think that should be presided. Not that always surrendance is important. You should be very open to your guru that these issues are being raised to me, and then How to solve it? Please guide me. I'm in the depth.
Well,
I'm in
remember,
Maya.
Gargamuni never said he was in Maya. So Gargamuni was doing different services. He'd write to Prabhupada what he was doing. And Prabhupada would write to him what to do. And it was back and forth. But it's not a rasa. That's not the fact that Gargamuni was obeying Prabhupada's instruction was as far as it went. But it wasn't like a strict disciple. Because afterwards, Gargamuni went off, became involved in drug dealing. After he took sannyas, he married a Japanese woman and ate fish with her in the form of sushi. I mean, is that what you're looking for in relationship to a spiritual master?
No, bro. Got your point. Got it. Thank you.
No, you want something else. You want clear instructions. If you want to know what a spiritual master is, read the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is the spiritual master, Arjuna is the disciple. I mean, are they chit-chatting around and kicking around and having fun and throwing gulab at each other? Or are they in a serious conversation where Arjuna accepts the words of his guru, Krishna, even though in other contexts, Krishna is his friend. He accepts Krishna as his guru, listens to Krishna speak, and accepts or questions. See, if you don't have to accept everything the guru says, you hear what the guru says, then you can question. Don't question that he's wrong, but question, what do you mean? What does he mean? When you say like this, what if it's something different? And the spiritual master says, well, this is what it is, and it's not different. This is what it is. Accept that. You know, it's a formal relationship, not a social one.
Great.
I mean, if people want social situations, they could go on YouTube. They can go anywhere. They can go on Facebook and have chit chat as much as they like. But we're not talking about chit chat. This is Istagosthi. Have a serious question, get a serious answer, or if I make a statement and another person says that's not right, I say, please convince me with evidence. And they show me the Shastra from Prabhupada. And then I say, I understand that I was mistaken. Thank you very much. And I offer my obeisances to this person who has acted to correct my mistake. That's Istagosthi. It's not for palling around. Doesn't it pretty clear? Make sense?
Sure, bro. Yeah. Of course, got your point. Yeah.
Yeah, so what is the difficulty? Matthew's here, huh?
Haribol!
Haribol, Matthew, how are you?
Excellent.
We haven't talked to the Swami recently, but we will be talking soon, I'm sure. But we're asking people about him and getting different points of view from various people, which is important because, you know, as Prabhupada said, you go to the guru, but you have to be convinced that all aspects of the guru are completely in conformity with the standard of the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And there's so many people that wander away from that for whatever reason, you know, and they try to become. So we have to accept anybody as a bona fide teacher. We have to see how he became the bona fide teacher in full explanation. And then when that is there, then we can agree, you see. But it must be complete. It's not just, oh, people say, oh, that's nice, and nothing like that. We're having this conversation with Mohit Prabhu about the what it's like to associate with devotees or pure devotee. Mohit is bringing up, oh, Gargamuni had a very casual relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and he did. Brahmananda had a much more formal relationship with, but Gargamuni was always bouncing around with his own ideas, doing stuff. But Prabhupada let people do pretty much anything they wanted to do as long as they were functionally fulfilling his desire of something that needed to be done in a temple or in the movement to serve Krishna. He wasn't just
Dovetailed
giving
them.
people what?
He dovetailed them.
Exactly, dovetailed. Whatever the talent. Just like I had some mechanical ability, he calls me Vishwakarma. That's dovetailing, exactly. And then from Vishwakarma, I knew nothing about Vishwakarma. It turns out he carved Jagannath deities and he's at Rath Yatra in Puri. That same year, 1969, in April, the same year, a couple of months later, I'm carving deities all over ISKCON, sets of Jagannath deities. You're Vishwakarma carved the original deities in Puri, the ones that are there now, and mean the same image. And now we have Naranarayan Das Vishwakarma carving deities all over the movement. That's amazing, you know? How did he know? I was just fixing his suitcase. That's hardly Vishwakarma type of task. And I wasn't even doing that good a job at it either. It was not elegant by any means. It was practical. He wanted padlocks on his suitcase, on his briefcase, but I was not doing such a wonderful job. But he said, Deshagali Vishwakarma. So he could envision what he wanted me to do way beyond anything I could see. That's the advantage of the spiritual master. He knows what you should do. You need to, in the Gita it says, inquire from him. Not tell him, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. No, inquire from the spiritual master. And he will fulfill your, because he has seen the truth. That's where we don't have this with gurus here and there. They haven't seen the truth. You don't see them seeing Krishna in their conversation. You don't get the same feeling that you did with Srila Prabhupada. So that's why I'm looking always to see who is on that same level as Prabhupada. Let's see if they can do it, if they have it in them. Or if they don't, that's up to them. But if they say they do and they don't, well, then they've got some ground to cover before they say they do. So we don't know about the persons we're talking about. We don't know. We're still looking. So I appreciate your patience.
We know about Srila Prabhupada,
Yeah.
but we don't know exactly how much you got to relish his being his disciple.
Yes, because if you listen to Prabhupada, he's speaking from standing next to Krishna and Krishna Loka. Well, we think, oh, he's an old Indian man. He's sitting there. He's getting old, isn't he? I wonder who's going to take his place. No, he was speaking as Krishna's associate. That we should pick up and get and not disrespect that or minimize it. We have to know, yes, he is on the same level as Krishna. And that is the great advantage of the Uttama Adhikari. Otherwise, there's people, I don't know where other people are talking about all the time. Shiksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, Shiksha. But where were they finding Shiksha Guru? Who is the Shiksha Guru? Prabhupada said that the Shiksha and Diksa are on the same platform with Krishna, meaning Krishna, Shiksha, Diksa Guru are all on the same platform. Then somebody says, oh, Shiksha Guru, Shiksha Guru. Where? How? Can you explain? No, it's all over the place. You have to do your own research like that. No, you say it, you better back it up because it's not there in Prabhupada's writing. We have to accept the truth from the pure devotee.
I found that Vashisha gave me, he was arguing about how somebody, I forget it was Gopal Krishna, asked Prabhupada about Siksha and Diksha Guru, and he said like that I believe he said he was discussing about Siksha specifically, how, they have to go through like probationary period and, go through some special kind of initiation to, reach that.
Why, if he's on the same level as the pure devotee, what's the probationary period for?
Well,
Are
that's
we
what
supposed to put
Prabhupada said.
Prabhupada on a probation? Are we supposed to put Prabhupada on a probationary period too?
No, I mean, like, so somebody who is under like a Diksha, apparently, so Diksha gives authorization to a Siksha Guru. He goes through, he said, goes through a probationary period, something like that.
Who said that?
Srila Prabhupada.
Where did he say that?
Some quote that she sent me. So by that, he
What
was
was the
trying to
quote?
say,
What was it about that conversation that he had in Hawaii?
yeah, probably. I think
Well,
so.
if it was,
But anyhow,
Ramachandra proved that he only gave a fraction of the quote. The rest of it disproves everything he was saying. The rest of the same quote that he was using.
That's
So
why
that's rascal. That's not disciple.
he was trying to prove a certain point, and in the process, he disproved his own point. I was like,
exactly.
It just didn't make, you know what I mean? He's trying to say, okay, what does it say? Okay, it says, Srila Prabhupada, Gopal Krishna, he says, Srila Prabhupada, I'm just trying to clarify. I think maybe y'all read this. I don't want to offend anyone, but no disciple of yours shall call himself Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru, am I right? Prabhupada says, well, everyone is engaged to become Siksha Guru, but one should become perfect. The attempt is what is called a probationer. Then when probationer period is finished, then he is naturally, automatically bona fide Guru, not in the probationer period. That is immature attempt. That will failure.
Yeah, but that mature Guru means you have to be in your rasa with Krishna.
They have to
not
take
in good standing in ISKCON movement or in a temple.
They have to be like instructed and authorized by the Diksha Guru to.
So who is the Diksha Guru?
In this case, it's Srila Prabhupada. But
so who did he make into a Siksha Guru?
He didn't. It doesn't say. So he was trying to use this quote to show about like, okay, so this is what he said. The above conversation is interesting. It's in 76, just 1 year before Prabhupada's passing away. Gopal Krishna asked about Diksha and Siksha, but Prabhupada never talked about Diksha in his entire conversation. And even about Siksha, he says by order, and when you become perfect. So it just completely disproved his own theory or his own standard that Siksha can be anybody who happens to chant the 16 rounds and follow the 4 irregular principles. He was trying to say that since Prabhupada didn't say anything about Diksha, that automatically it means it disqualifies any future, I don't know, he's trying to use that as disqualificatory information, but
yes.
In the process, he disproved his own understanding of Siksha. So
yeah, because it's inadequate. It's not. If Prabhupada at any point was the Diksha Guru, which he was, then where did he authorize this person as Shiksha Guru?
Right.
Without that, there cannot be any Shiksha Guru.
Yeah, the only instance of that I'm familiar with, I think I saw a quote here that Srila Prabhupada was recommending one of his own godbrothers as a Shiksha Guru.
Oh, to Harikesh?
I think you're correct, yeah.
Yeah, Harikesh was either was or wanted to be initiated by Prabhupada. He went to Vrindavan, but Prabhupada wasn't there. he was running from the police in Europe and the United States for some crime. And he wanted to get initiated. Swami Ban offered to initiate him. And Prabhupada said, no, don't go to Swami Ban. But Bhaktisiddhanta said about Swami Ban, who went to England and Europe and collected a lot of money, came back to India, kept it, and created his own institution with the money of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So Prabhupada said, and then he said, of this organization, he declared himself as the rector. A rector means like to erect, to build, you know. A rector is the guy in charge of the institution. And Bhaktisiddhanta said he should not be called rector, he should be called rectum. That's Prabhupada's spiritual master saying his own disciple should be called rectum, not rector. So when Prabhupada saw that Harikesh wanted to take shelter of Ban, or Ban really wanted to give shelter to Harikesh because he didn't have any Western disciples of his own, Prabhupada said, go to Sridhar. He is even my Shiksha Guru. So you go to him and take shelter of him. But actually, Sridhar was never Prabhupada's Shiksha Guru. And when Prabhupada said that, he said that just to pry Harikesh out to save him by saying that Sridhar was Shiksha Guru, but he wasn't. This is what he did to save his disciple. And it didn't, it was not true. Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada says about Bhaktisiddhanta in the poem, which we were studying called the Falgun Krishna Panchami, that there are so many deceptions that Bhaktisiddhanta used to get people to chant Hare Krishna. So many tricks, so many deceptions. And so we understand that Prabhupada did the same thing. I gave an example once that I was in Bombay after we cleared the land, probably Pandal. There are a lot of Indians there sitting in the Pandal that we built, Brahmananda and I. We didn't do it ourselves physically. We hired a Pandal person to put it up. And Prabhupada was lecturing and he looked out at the crowd and he said grandly, and we have so many hundreds of thousands of disciples in America and Europe. We probably have 500. I sat up straight, like completely blown out of my chair. And I was sitting on the ground, but I stared at Prabhupada, my mouth hanging wide open and my eyes bulged out. Prabhupada looked at me and he went like that. Chill, you know. He didn't say chill, but that's what he was indicating. And I did. And I said to myself, that's interesting. He said something which was clearly not true to a group of very wealthy, very prosperous and important Indians. By saying that, it will become true. But it wasn't true when he said it. Just like when he was in New York, he was walking along the embankment somewhere, maybe in Brooklyn, I don't know which embankment. And somebody came up and said, Swami, do you have any followers, any disciples? He said, oh yes, I have many thousands of disciples. And he said, but where are they? He said, I have them separated only by time. So when Prabhupada said that, he was speaking for the benefit of the listener to make advancement. Not that he was a bookkeeper keeping track of how many disciples he really had. And when he saw that I looked astonished, he didn't want me to blow the whole thing with that whole crowd of people. So I chilled. I came down and calmed down because then afterwards it took me years to really fully absorb what Prabhupada was actually doing. I realized, supposing you have a child that has broken glass in his hand, a baby, and he's going to squeeze his hand and bleed and cut his hand to pieces. And supposing you come in the room, do you start screaming, "You bad child, let go of that broken glass"? He'll squeeze harder because he doesn't like to be told no, right? But supposing you take a beautiful toy or something nice and dangle it in front of that child, the child will just drop the glass and go for the toy. Now, does that toy have anything to do with the broken glass? No. It has to do with the child being attracted to the toy rather than being attracted to the glass. So that's what Prabhupada was doing with Sridhar Maharaj. He tried to convince Rishikesh to go there, and he didn't. He stayed with Swami Ban and served Swami Ban because Swami Ban wanted a dancing white elephant to get him money so that he could get more money. And I am friends with Rishikesh. I knew him for years. Rupa Manjari knows him also. No, right, Rupa, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's Rishikesh, the same Rishikesh. So the pure devotee wants to deliver the fallen soul. If he has to tell a lie to deliver the fallen soul, and he actually ends up delivering the fallen soul, or at least giving it a good try, he'll do it. We don't need to look at the spiritual master as being something like a machine where you put in a coin and your fortune comes out. He's not like that. He's not telling you things that you're paying for. He's delivering you from repeated birth and death. And if you can understand that and accept it, then you will be delivered from repeated birth and death. Never mind, he said, Sridhar is a Shiksha Guru. So Vashish can say that, but Vashish doesn't have even the beginning, slight tendency, a slight margin of understanding of why Prabhupada said that. Nor does he care, apparently. He doesn't want to understand subtlety. He just wants to be able to say something and prove himself right no matter what. From wherever he gets the information, he doesn't care where he gets it. So that's not good. I greeted him, I welcomed him to this platform where he's welcome to be tonight, but didn't show up again twice in a row. To what? To have honest man-to-man or person-to-person discussion between all of us as equals. And why equals? Krishna is present in our Istagosthi here, and the cowherd boys. Istagosthi means circle of cowherd boys. The cowherd boys sit down on the ground and they treat each other as equals. And Krishna sits down with the cowherd boys and they treat him as an equal to them, and he treats them as his equal to him. He's God, they're not. End of story. That's not how it works in Krishna Loka. They sit down together and they have fun. And Krishna is so much fun because he's all attractive. He's God, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in our Istagosthi, you can be yourself. You can speak frankly. You can dare to be mistaken. You can make mistakes. I'm not in charge. I'm talking a lot because I had a lot of experience, and people seem to want that to talk about it or to help with their realizations. But I'm not any more important than anybody else. If somebody comes up with something they want to say, I will listen to them. Go ahead, I want to hear you. But it has to be verifiable by Srila Prabhupada's words and lectures and whatnot like that, and books. Okay, I went on for a bit, but you get the point.
Yeah, I have experienced that. I was looking through the scriptures to prove a point, and I actually came across this list of, it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's a list of steps to take to attain devotional service, and one of them is that one does not search through the scriptures in order to prove a point.
That is so funny. Custom made instruction just for guess who. That's so charming. That is so good. Yeah, because you have to understand the substance of the whole scripture, not just this point versus that point. That's what lawyers do. You know, it's called parsing. A lawyer goes to court, he makes a point. The other lawyer looks at past cases and he tries to find the little discrepancies. But in that case like that, and this case over here like that, you know, he tries to win his case by proving there's little flaws in the argument that's being given by the main lawyer. Of course, this is material law, and it's perfectly legitimate to do that. But you got the point from the Bhagavatam, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita itself. Congratulations. Very good. So where are we now?
Oh, I did want to ask Mohit. You brought up Kripalu, is that correct?
Brought up what?
Please come again. Please come again, Prabhu.
Mohit, did you ask about Kripalu in this Istagosthi?
No, Prabhu.
Someone was mentioning Kripalu, and just when I was visiting my brother up in Austin, I was looking at temples, and the only temple that was open was a temple for Kripalu.
What is that?
Kripalu Maharaj you're talking about?
He's a Vrajvasi. I don't know his lineage.
Kripalu Maharaj, right? Kripalu
Yes.
Maharaj you're talking about. Prabhu, he told that he is himself Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is what we can't accept. Kripalu Maharaj, right? You wanted to say about he has a big garden in Vrindavan, right? And he's
Yeah, I was
copied
just
all
curious.
he's copied all the books of Srila Prabhupada except chanting. Except chanting, he has all the knowledge. And he's a big Radha follower, Radha Rani's follower. So that's okay, but yeah, he told that I am the next Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how can someone say that? Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, but who is his guru?
Yeah, that's something I couldn't find out because I mean, well, it wasn't. Readily available. I liked the deities in the temple. It was a really immersive experience. But I mean, also I met one of your godbrothers in a Gaudiya Math Narayan temple. He's a sannyas. Pardon me, I don't remember his name, but
Bro, let's change the topic to like today's Nirjala Ekadashi. So any pastime Narayan Prabhu you have with Prabhupada on this specific day, if you can remember of, today's Nirjala Ekadashi. Yeah.
So Narayan Maharaj, again, is another person that claims to be actually greater than Prabhupada. He says Prabhupada can only teach you up to a certain point, but I can teach you the pastimes of the gopis, which is higher than what Prabhupada knows. And it's not true. He went to study all that stuff at Radhakund. His guru, Keshava Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, went to Sevakunj, grabbed him by the ear, and dragged him back and made a promise that he would never go there again. But as soon as Keshava Maharaj passed away in 1968, we were in Seattle, and Prabhupada had us take a card and all write our condolences to Keshava Maharaj and send it to the monk where he had been. That Narayan Maharaj was not that advanced. And he went back, and after being told not to go to the Babaji in Radhakund, he went to the Babaji in Radhakund after his spiritual master died. So that's unacceptable. And there's no indication whatsoever that Keshava Maharaj was an Uttama Adhikari either. So if he had a guru, the guru was not necessarily bona fide. So Narayan Maharaj comes from quite possibly a guru line. Keshava took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta, that's bona fide. But for him to give initiation to Narayan Maharaj means that he would have to be on the platform, same platform as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Srila Prabhupada liked Keshava Maharaj a great deal, and he stayed there in his ashram before going to live in Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan. But he never indicated that Keshava Maharaj was a pure devotee. So here's Narayan Maharaj, whose guru is not a pure devotee, claiming to be a pure devotee higher than Prabhupada. This is just rascaldom. There's nothing to be gained from it. Of course, if people get together and they chant kirtan, like in the mood of Lord Chaitanya with the melodies that Prabhupada taught us, then they're going to make some advancement. Even if they're complete rascals, they'll make advancement. Prabhupada said, if you are walking the street, you're doing Sankirtan chanting, and some guy, maybe drunkard guy, comes up and says, oh, Hare Krishna, ha, ha, Hare Krishna, ha. Prabhupada said he will make advancement for mocking you with the holy name. You see? He will make advancement even if he just mocks you.
Did you get
the holy name is transcendental?
No, did you get to hear Srila Prabhupada sing the 10th canto and when the gopis are singing? I got to hear my bhakti leader sing the different ragas.
Did Prabhupada do that? Prabhupada didn't finish translating the 10th canto.
His name's Pranata Karuna Das.
Huh?
Keshava Bharati Maharaj's disciple. Pranata Karuna Das. He was.
Where's the indication that Prabhupada was chanting from the 10th canto?
That's right.
As far as I know,
he was telling us that
I was designing illustrations for the 10th canto. We were just getting into maybe the first few chapters. We were making probably 100 illustrations for 10th canto, but we never got to anything about gopis mentioned at all.
Yeah, I find it really strange that he read the 10th canto to me, because my understanding was that I should read the first 9.
Exactly. That Prabhupada said. The first canto of the Bhagavatam is Krishna's lotus feet. You don't jump to the head. That's what is done by Sahajas or Narayan Maharaj people. They like to jump up to the gopis. But what is gopis to a materially conditioned guy? It's sex life. That's all. It's not like it's understanding the subtlety of rasa. That has to be developed when you come to the point of transcending and abandoning and being delivered by Lord Hrishikesha. Lord Hrishikesha is the master of the senses. When you have completed your cycle with Vishnu in the form of Lord Hrishikesha, and you have no more sex desire, then you can begin cautiously to understand the pastimes of the gopis, but only under the guidance of the pure devotee. Well, Tamal and the others made sure the pure devotee was poisoned before he could do that. I mean, isn't that amazing? Why would they want to poison Prabhupada before he finished the 10th canto, 11th canto, 12th canto? or the Ramayana, or the Mahabharata. All these wonderful texts are enriching our lives, but not without Prabhupada's purports. Because everybody has their point of view, and their point of view is really based on profit, adoration, and distinction. Their point of view is based on what will get me followers, what will get me money, followers, fame, like that. I'll be famous guru. So I'll write something about gopis, sexy pastimes of gopis, and thereby pollute the entire sampradaya by doing that. There was a devotee named Paranjan who had started a thing called Gopi Bhava Club in Los Angeles. Prabhupada absolutely shredded it. And everybody else that had gone to those Gopi Bhava Club meetings. And Paranjan said, but Prabhupada, this is all from your writing. Prabhupada said, yeah, you're not qualified. And he got so angry at Prabhupada, he stormed out and never spoke to Prabhupada again until in his lifetime. He left Prabhupada. Then he became big famous Prabhupada Nuga, but that is false. Because he rejected Prabhupada clearly, openly, and without question. Later on, he created something, organization, Prabhupada Anti-Definition Association, Pada, Lotus Sign. But no, he rejected Prabhupada, not Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Anti-defamation. He is the one who defamed Prabhupada. So he writes anti-defamation Prabhupada. That's what rascals do. They commit the offense and then they claim to be the savior from that offense.
I find it ironic that Ranjan on their website or their blog post Krishna 1008 or something blogspot.
Yeah.
They were talking about Krishna Balaram Swamiji, and that how he was, within operated within ISKCON, and supposedly like, since it took him, over, he was cooperating or basically cooperating alongside ISKCON for a certain amount of time until finally he was like fed up because his dad told him that it was like no good because there was some fallen conditioned souls that were like governing the movement. And after being poisoned and just his books changed and all these things, he was like, he left. And so anyhow, Paranjan has the goal to call him a compromiser when he himself like
the person I was mentioning that the Gopi Bhava Club was Paranjan.
Yeah, he rejected Prabhupada. So like, where does he get off trying to call somebody else, trying to find fault with them? And he has committed one of the most grievous
Paranjan stayed out of ISKCON until 3 years after Prabhupada was gone. He went to England and became the chief advisor to Jayatirtha, who later was chanting for 20 hours at a stretch on drugs, and later on was beheaded because Jayatirtha took the wife of his top disciple.
The guy, he called him, he was a demon, that he thought he was doing a service by slaying him, and that's why he cut his head off, because so that he wouldn't.
No, he wasn't a demon. He was just confused because.
Well, no, I mean the guy who killed him, his disciple. He was thinking that he was a demon.
That Jayatirtha was?
Yeah.
Well, it was a double-edged sword, no pun intended, because when he killed Jayatirtha, he sat there. He was Jayatirtha's greatest love he loved Jayatirath more than anyone. But when Jayatirath took his wife, it created a schizophrenic clash in his consciousness. See, Jayatirath was one of my proteges in the early days of the movement. And he cut off his head and was holding his head, embracing his bloody severed head, weeping because he loved his spiritual master so much. That's what the deal was. I don't know who said otherwise, but I happen to know about it. Jayatirath,
I think I think the account that I heard was actually from Puranjan back before I realized, like when I first started hearing about all these things. And
you can't trust Puranjan.
Yeah,
Rupa Manjari
he gives a
actually
certain account.
developed our work. We developed in that 2010-11. We developed a working relationship with Puranjan, but it wasn't real. And Puranjan said that he didn't even write any of his own stuff. He said it was done by Yasodanandan, not him. The Yasoda wrote everything, and Puranjan said, I hardly ever read it. I just publish it. But Yasoda does it in Puranjan's voice. Sort of like, that sort of crackpot sort of way that Puranjan writes. It was done by his ghostwriter, Yasodanandan, who wanted to destroy ISKCON anyhow and replace it with a group called the Hare Krishna Society. So it's all useless. You see, we're talking about this, but our job here on the League for 10K is not the business of talking about these things. Our job at the League for 10K is to deal with Prabhupada directly and understand his desire, his wish, his instruction, his order, and then do it. And never mind all the people that are got their heads where the sun doesn't shine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because we are dealing with delivering the fallen souls, all of them, in the next 10,000 of the Golden Age of Kali. By the end of Golden Age of Kali, we, on this site, right here, the League for 10K memes, we are beginning to come to the point saying, I will stay here until every living being is delivered. When? Until the end of the 10,000 years of Golden Age of Kali, which is 9,500 years. We will be spending this time anyhow because it'll take that long to become pure devotees. So if we do that, let's keep doing it until every soul is delivered, including some human beings, not just ants, which I prefer to deliver because they are more sincere. But we can also, I'm just kidding, we can deliver human beings too. But it's not just human beings and forget the ants. No, we want to deliver every jiva. Everyone, how do you know who's a jiva? Paramatma is busy giving him directions. How do you know an ant is a jiva? Because he's moving. He's moving. Why? Because Paramatma is showing them how to move. Every little tiptoe of every little ant out of gazillions of ants in Los Angeles, or to speak, or India, or anywhere. Think of many ants are, and then multiply that times the planets in the universe. That's a lot of jivas. And our job, if we chant Hare Krishna, they don't have to chant with us, the ants don't. But if we chant Hare Krishna with the ants, they will take birth after birth after birth after birth, determined to find out what that mantra was. Every birth, they're going to want to know more and more and more about that mysterious Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The ant heard it. Maharaj Pariksit was in the womb of Uttara, his mother. Asvatthama, the son of Dronacharya, wanted to kill him with a brahmastra, which is a focused atomic weapon. You could go into the womb, kill somebody with it, and nobody else gets hurt. Not like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And so he did. And he was in the womb of Tara, and Asvatthama sent a brahmastra, an atomic, a vocally induced, mantra-induced atomic weapon into the womb of this pregnant woman to kill the fetus, whose name was Purport, or was going to be. And all of a sudden, this spectacular being leaped into the womb with 4 arms bristling with 4 types of weapons. You know, it was Vishnu, came and killed, destroyed that brahmastra, and then he dived out and took off, leaving Maharaj Purport, the embryo or the fetus, staring. Wait, who are you? So he went, and when he was born, he was named Purport. Purport means who's searching for somebody. Maharaj Purport was searching for Vishnu that whole time. And he did not come across the whole Shastra concerning Krishna and Vishnu until he was on the bank of the Ganges. Sukadeva Goswami came. All the demigods stood up except Vasudeva, who was his father, because he was his father. And he sat there for 7 days. He found out everything about that person who had entered the womb of his mother and saved him from being destroyed by the brahmastra. So that's what Purport. So that's our goal. You see?
Perfect Shravanam.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Today's Prabhu, today's Nirjala Ekadashi. Any pastime with Prabhupada you remember of this day? Hare Krishna.
What sort of pastime on this day?
Prabhu, today's Nirjala Ekadashi.
This is Father of Ekadasi. Yeah, this is Father's Day.
Actually, today I got to know that Nirjala Ekadashi is there. So any pastime with Prabhupada you have? Anything you can remember of?
Ekadashi? That's very interesting because he never talked about Ekadashi very much. I was, of course, with him many, many times that there was Ekadashi. And sometimes he would cook also something, Ekadashi dish. But we just simply observed it. There was nothing special about it per se, except we fasted from grains. And I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there was nothing more to it than that. At least that I was aware.
No issues, bro. No issues.
I remember hearing something about Ekadashi with Srila
Go
Prabhupada.
ahead. Go ahead.
He had this Muslim friend, and he would invite this Muslim friend for prasadam, and Srila Prabhupada had this realization, oh, our date is for Ekadashi, actually. And so it was so soon to the arrangement that he didn't actually contact this friend, and so the friend arrived. And Srila Prabhupada just apologized. I actually can't eat today. It's Ekadashi. So Srila Prabhupada was fasting. And the Muslim friend actually said, yes, thank you. I didn't want to disappoint, but I also want to fast today. It's Ekadashi. And Srila Prabhupada inquired, you're Muslim. Why do you want to fast for Ekadashi? And the Muslim friend shared with Srila Prabhupada about what he had heard this pastime, that there was this man walking on a path, and he just heard this laughing coming from the forest. And so he went into the forest and saw these ghosts, and the ghosts were laughing. And so this person asked the ghosts, why are you laughing? And they said, well, because someone's going to come into town and he's going to leave his body, and we'll have another ghost to live with because he's going to be a ghost. And so this person was terrified by that and went into town, and he saw the person that was going to die, and he was running to him, calling out to him, and so the guy actually fell off his horse and left his body. And so the person that had heard the ghosts and tried to save the other person went back out to the forest, and he heard crying. So he went to the crying, and it was the ghosts, and he asked, "Why are you crying?" And the ghosts were saying, "Oh, because it was iṣṭa-goṣṭhī. This person was fighting with his wife, and therefore he didn't eat, and now he's not going to be a ghost." And so just hearing that, Srila Prabhupada's Muslim friend fasted on iṣṭa-goṣṭhī.
Oh, amazing. So amazing. That is amazing. You know that the Muslims take the word Ritvik is going big around all over the place. The Muslims name their children Ritvik. It's an honorary name. So they name their children Ritvik, boys,
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is very interesting. The Muslims who get that. That's a wonderful story, and I thank you for telling it. I can tell one iṣṭa-goṣṭhī story from my own personal experience in Bombay with Srila Prabhupada. Is Prabhupada, Gargamuni and Brahmananda had gone through that strange being haunted by ghosts, a demon Brahman, Brahmabhuta, that Prabhupada is God, Prabhupada is God. I don't know if you heard about that whole thing. But anyhow, they got over it, and they were recovering. They're opening temples all over the south of the United States. They came to India, and Prabhupada wanted to send them during the war, one to Pakistan, one brother to Pakistan, one to East Pakistan, which later on became Bangladesh. Very dangerous for a Hindu to show up, or someone, Vaishnava to show up in those two countries. The East Bengal wasn't yet a country. They were fighting to become an independent. Now it's Bangladesh. Bangladesh means East Bengal. Desh means east. So they did that. And Prabhupada told them they wanted them to go as sannyasis into Bangladesh and to Pakistan and preach. It was like a death sentence. So when Prabhupada was there, they were getting ready to leave. Prabhupada immediately called for the cook. And the cook came out. He said, "Make these men as many chapati, as many puris as they can eat. They need energy for this work." And the cook said, "But Prabhupada, it's iṣṭa-goṣṭhī today." He said, "Yes, sometimes you have to break the iṣṭa-goṣṭhī in order to accomplish the deed. So please cook the puris." And so they did. He cooked the puris, and nobody ate them but the two sannyasis. And then they went to Bangladesh and went to Pakistan with the puris in their stomach on iṣṭa-goṣṭhī, and they lived through it. They came close to being killed, but they lived through it. They came back. Basically, Prabhupada sent them there to either do or die. If you do, they came back. If you die because you still were clinging to the Brahmabhuta's curse. So they gave it up.
That's a really good, thank you for sharing that. And it's all this that we've been talking about really, it reminds me that Parikshit Maharaj, it's not proper to remember him as that he is someone that had the Brahmastra fired at him, because that's like, just to say that's leaving out the glory. And I was thinking about Akrura too. Like, you just say to remember him as the perfect praying devotee, rather than the gopis as described in the 10th canto.
Yes.
Just find the glory in everything. No need to find the fault, because
Well, this is it. And this is where in our League for 10K, this is where we need to be focused, exactly what you're talking about and is being discussed here, that we're not trying to become anecdotal people that are just part of a group and then we all chat together about Krishna's past. No, these subtle differences, these subtle distinctions are what make it possible for us to be authentic when we preach to the fallen conditioned souls. And I thank you, Matthew. This is very elevated. You're speaking from a very elevated platform. I consider. Don't get puffed up. I know, but I'm saying this is what we're meant to be doing here. So thank you. You're a
Andrew
genuine
really
member.
fires them off too. We came up with really nice depictions of just the situations.
Yes.
We were relating Sri Sri Shikshastakam about what you hear about the guru. He's as soft as a rose and hard as lightning.
Mm.
It's time to wrap it up.
It's time to wrap it up. Is Ramachandra still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here. The boss has said it's time to wrap it up, so we gotta wait. We
I
gotta
thought
go.
you're the chairman of the board. That's up to you to wrap it up.
Boss is always right. Boss is always right. Who is vice president?
Jai.
So,
All glories to
thank-
Srila Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you.
Matthew Prabhu. I want to say I relished your observations. They are the sort of realizations that I gravitate to understand and like. Jai Shri Krishna. Haribol.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Thank you for joining. We'll see you guys. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, then Saturday and Sunday.
Haribol.
If we have anything in the week, then we'll
Haribol.
post it up in our group, League for 10K and the Istagosthi group.
Mahaprabhu is there.
Is Mahaprabhu on?
Yes, he's
Mahaprabhu is
on.
also there.
Oh my goodness. We've missed you. What happened to you?
Oh, I had to spend some time with my father today.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. He's
Yeah.
still alive.
95.
Wow. Yes. I hope did you give him anything special like chanting the holy name with him?
A little bit.
Well,
Trying
good. A little
trying to
bit
get
is
him
all
to
it takes.
absorb. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
If you have your japa beads, you just sit next to your dad, say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just let the sound vibration come out. Even if he accidentally hears it and doesn't understand it, doesn't even know what you're doing or why you're doing it, doesn't matter. That sound vibration is coming from Lord Chaitanya through Bhaktivinoda Thakur, through Gorkha Sardas Babaji, through Bhakti Saranta Saraswati, through Prabhupada, and then through you.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Haribol.
Good night.
Jai. You've all been wonderful tonight. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada. Let's see you all as soon as possible.
Haribol.
Jai. Haribol. I can't see how to leave this scene. Or Ramachandra, are you going to just close the whole thing?
All glories to the assembly of the devotees.
Okay, Hare Krishna. How do I?
There's a should be a button in the upper right screen that comes up. It says leave, and you just click
You want to leave?
yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Let me just show you just so you know. So the way to get to pop up is you just touch the screen, and then
Oh, I
all this
see.
comes up.
Got it.
Like that.